Hello, everybody. Jeanette Anderson here from the Bodacity Show. And coming to you live today. This is Monday instead of Tuesday. We typically do the Bodacity Show every Tuesday from 3:30 to 4. And I'm either interviewing an expert who on various topics, or I am giving you what I call our mentors moments, which is information, expertise, ideas, tips, hints on how to build your bold business or your bold life. So today it's about how to package your expertise. It's all part of this month's focus on what the hell do I sell? How to package, price, and position your expertise. I have a course coming up at the middle of October here in town. And the reason I'm so passionate about this topic is that I know a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with these topics. How do I package myself? How do I price myself? What do I even sell? And how do I know what my clients will buy from me? And certainly, how do I differentiate myself in the market? How do I position myself so that clients want to work with me? Hi, Tony. Welcome. So today, I'm going to talk about packaging your products, services, and offerings. And of course, we go into it much deeper in the course, but I do want to give you some tangible ideas to think about when you're considering how do you package your services. Now, I'm mostly going to be speaking today to service providers, experts, coaches, consultants, speakers, trainers, people who sell what you know. So you might be a nutritionist or an engineer or someone who sells your expertise in a variety of different arenas, because the strategy for packaging, literal physical product packaging, is a whole nother topic area that we're not going to get into today. So this is mostly how do you take what you offer and put them into packages or bundles or formats that will allow you to sell easier, more, and in a way that your clients really are comfortable buying. So let's start with, and by the way, if you have any questions, put them into the chat. If you see this later, because many people watch this later in the week and at night, if you have questions, put them in the thread underneath the video, and I will come back and answer those questions. Happy to provide you with help. All of this is part and parcel of my commitment to really supporting women entrepreneurs, well, entrepreneurs in general, but especially women, in profiting from their passion. Because if we're going to shift the world from fear to love, one happy woman at a time, that starts with us living our purpose, our passion, and being happy about it, which means that we have to be valued for the value we provide. So that's part of why I do this. It's part of this bigger mission and calling that I have. And I really want entrepreneurs to get how to make this game easier, because it can be a complicated, daunting, exhausting, freaking frustrating game. So we want to make this easier and more enjoyable along the way. And of course, I'm doing this as all of you, I encourage all of you to do, provide your expertise, show people who you are and what you have to offer, and that's a great way to market yourself and let them try before they buy. So I will be putting a link later on for the Eventbrite course, and also to book a complimentary consultation with me if you need some help with really clarifying and dialing in your packaging, or the other day I did one on pricing, or any of these topics. I have a complimentary coaching call that I do called What Do You Do?, where I really help people be able to answer that question of what do you do, or know what the next step is that they need to do to carry them forward. So let's get into packaging. So why do you need to package your expertise? Can't you just hang out a shingle and say I'm a this or a that, and my rate is $500 an hour or $50 an hour or whatever it may be? Yes, you can. And here's some of the problems with that. Number one, then you immediately become a commodity. You are now being sold on an hourly basis. People will have things about really watching the clock. I mean, if you think about, for instance, lawyers, they literally bill in, I believe it's 7-minute increments, because how much they bill is so high. People really have to, watch those bills. And it becomes, yes, they're selling expertise and know-how, but they're also selling time. And we're acutely aware when we buy time versus solutions, how much we're spending. So if you want to shift the focus off of what people are paying to what they're getting, then you need to shift the focus from a commodity purchase to a solution provision. Now, that might sound a little Wabu-esque, but it really is a strategic shift in thinking that will help you not only sell more, sell with more authority and with greater ease, but it will also make it easier for your clients to buy and to feel like you really get them, because you're speaking to the problems and you're taking that and providing a solution as opposed to time. Time doesn't do anything for anyone. No one wants to buy time. They want to buy the result of your time. So you need to sell the results, not the process. So we talked a little bit about that in the pricing thing, but I also want to bring it up here because it's also part of how you package. Many coaches, myself included, can have and sell bundles of time. That's a way to package. But really what people are looking for is a solution or an end result or an objective or a deliverable. That's what they want to buy. So the number one question that you need to answer is, why should I buy you? Your packaging, your pricing, your branding, your positioning all helps to answer that question, or undermines it, depending, and needs to lead them to the answer of not what do, you and I, but what does what you do for me? So everything about it, your packaging, your pricing, etc., needs to answer that question. What does what you do for me? So, for example, right now, Tony Kaufman of KDM is on the line, and what they do is provide branding services and helping you with your profile, web presence, etc., design services, a whole bunch of different things like that. So she could sell those things, or she could sell the solution of and packages of types of exposure. So creating your online brand, creating your speaking platform brand. She could package it as creating your visibility profile in social media. So there's a variety of different things that you can do depending on really knowing and understanding your clients and where they're at. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. So one reason why we package services is because we don't want to be a straight commodity. This is, I charge X amount for X amount of time, or X amount for X amount of work, etc. Also, you want to package because it takes as much effort to sell 1 hour of time as it does to sell 1 unit of something. So by packaging and bundling and putting some of our services and offerings together, you make one sale and you get ongoing revenue, or you get ongoing engagement with your client, or you extend the length of time of the engagement. So when you sell a package, you are now making multiple sales at one time. So it's an efficiency in terms of your sales process, and it really keeps the client engaged for the duration of the solution, which again is very important, because you want to provide a deliverable or a solution or an outcome or an objective, and you can't do that typically if there's this open-ended kind of never arriving at a destination. So think of it this way: if you went into a travel agent and said, okay, I want to go somewhere, and they said, where? And you said, well, I don't know. You probably wouldn't plunk down $2,000 or $3,000 or $5,000 to just go somewhere. You'd be going to South Africa or China or wherever you're going, and you have that destination in mind. Likewise, people need to know that we have a destination in mind in terms of where we're going with your products, services, etc. And the third reason is it's how most consumers, businesses or individuals, want to buy. We tend to want to buy based on a couple of different motivators. One is we like to get a deal. Often when you package and or bundle your services, typically you're giving people a deal in some way, shape, or form. They're getting some additional thing for free. They're getting additional time, a discount. There's some ostensible reason for the bundle, for the package, and they like to get that deal. Now, here's the wonderful thing about bundles and packages is it can often create a perception of greater value, but you sometimes have things in there that they don't use, take advantage of. Some people will want this, some people will want that. So not everybody uses all of your products and services that are in your bundles. So I really think that it's important for you to put value in there that is going to appeal to a variety of your ideal clients, not everyone. You don't want to be all things to all people, but what one person wants, someone else may not want. So you want to make sure that you've got something in there that appeals to everyone within your specific niche, that solves that specific problem for that niche, so that you can have that appeal. What that means, though, is not everyone will consume everything in your packages, which is kind of a good thing, and kind of not. The more they consume, the more they engage, the more value there is, the more engagement there is, and that's a very good thing. So it's how they want to buy, because people like options. They like to have a choice. Now, this is true to a point. They think they like to have a choice, but in reality, most people get flummoxed by too many decisions. Most of us have decision fatigue. So you cannot give them a whole wide range of options, choices, and custom things they can put together, and so forth and so on. Thinking that you're giving them lots of different options might seem like a good idea, and for most people it's not. It's actually will unsell them because it's too complicated to decide. There's too many variables. I don't know what I don't know, and so I don't want to have to put together my solution. If I could do that, I wouldn't need you. So put together some solution packages that hit them at different levels. Okay, and we're going to talk about the levels in a moment. So they want to buy because they want options, and they want a bargain or a discount or a sale or a good deal. Now, here's the thing. The value of a good deal is more important to some people than to others. Only about 20% of the market are actually price-sensitive buyers. About 95% of the market say they are, but only about 20% actually are. And so what they are saying is they want a deal, which means, I want you to hear this and translate it in your head, they want to know they got value. And so you want to have a value conversation with them. Again, going back to the pricing, you want to have a value conversation, but in your packages, you really want to emphasize the value that's in there for them. So it's not necessarily, I go to a lot of events, and sometimes these events, they have, I'm going to give you this and this and the kitchen sink and this and that and this and that. And there is, in theory, a perception of a ton of value. In reality, I know I'm never going to look at 95% of it, and it can actually get to feel like weight, like I'm actually being buried under all of this stuff, because I know that I won't access it. So now I've got all this stuff sitting on the shelf that I'm not using, and that can undermine your client's confidence and their perception of value. It's ironic because they bought it because, oh, look at all this amazing value I get. But then if they only use 10% of it, they feel like, oh, there's this 90% that I'm not using, so I'm not getting the full value, right? So you want to be very careful about not piling on too many things in your bundles and packages. I think it's one of the things that's really kind of fundamentally wrong with this information product industry, with the online education industry, etc., is this notion that instead of closing the gap between what people know and what they're doing, we're actually widening it. We're actually giving them so much more information that they're not using, that it puts them into more immobility, more spinning, more confusion. So you don't want to put in so much stuff that it becomes unbelievable, because sometimes you kind of go, wow, but all of that, but wait, there's more. You get this and a Ginsu knife and a this and a that. It devalues the actual value perception of what your primary offering is, and it can get to be too daunting for people, too heavy. So in your bundles, packages, or offerings that you're putting together, don't throw in everything in the kitchen sink. Provide a bit of additional value. People do like to think they got a good deal, but they want something that they perceive as truly valuable, not a lot of schlock that's getting thrown in there. Okay? And, oh, So just a quick update, Tony is providing VA services and telesummits, turning interviews into episodes for your own TV show. Oh, good, you moved into that. You way to go, Tony. So they were creating branding and identity packages and so forth, but now they're and helping getting entrepreneurs started on the right road towards making money, but now they're really focused on up-leveling their profile and their platform. So I encourage you to, talk to Tony if you're at that level where you're looking for support with telesummits and interviews for episodes, etc. Okay, so coming back to pricing, the other thing that I would encourage you, if we are talking about not pricing, packaging, how do you know what to package and what to put together for people, then it's this. It's you want to think about where your customer journey is. Packages need to be designed based on where you're taking people from and to. So think of your services as a tool to help them carry on their journey. So in your engagement with your clients, where is your starting point? Where is the end point that you take them from and to? And what are the steps in that evolution and in that process that will help them get from and to the places they're going? So for example, you can think about it this way. I use this example a lot. When cavemen were starving, they had a starvation issue, and someone came up with an intervention. They invented a spear. Now they had a way to go and kill a saber-toothed tiger. Now they've got a solution. They've got meat. So now they're not starving anymore. So problem one was starvation. Then they created an intervention, a solution, a spear. So your package would be a spear. They then have meat. Now they don't have a problem, a starvation problem. But now they've got a new problem. Hey, Mark, now they've got a new problem. Their new problem is that they now have and are eating all this raw meat. That's great. They're not starving, but now they're getting really sick and, in fact, dying because they're eating raw meat and they're getting worms and they're getting sick and yucky, yucky. So now they've got a new problem. They've got meat, but they are getting sick. So now someone needs to invent a new thing. They invent fire. They can cook the meat. Now people are no longer getting sick and dying. Excellent. So that's solution two, problem two, solution two. Now they've got a new problem, because almost every solution gives rise to a new problem. New problem is they've got all this meat cooked, but they have no way of storing it and keeping it for longer because it's perishable, and they didn't have refrigerators in caves. So now they've got a new problem. They've got a storage problem. Oh, then someone learns that they can smoke the meat and turn it into jerky and it'll last longer. Great. Problem three, storage. Solution three, smoke the meat and keep it longer. Then they've got a new problem, because in every solution gives rise to a next problem on the journey. Now they've got a distribution issue because the people in the next village, their brothers and sisters, are still starving and dying because they don't have a saber-toothed tiger. And so they now need to get this beef jerky over to them. So they've got a distribution issue. Most of us are solving distribution issues for starvation problems. So in your strategy, when we talk about what do you sell, you want to make sure that you're selling a starvation solution for a starvation problem. Now, in terms of your packages, you need to think about where are the steps on the journey as I take them up the mountain. Think of yourself as a Sherpa. I'm going to mix all sorts of metaphors in here. Just stay with me. As you're taking them up the mountain, what are the steps on the journey that they need support with? What is the problem and the solution? Next problem, next solution. That's one way to package your solutions. I call it a progressive business model. So problem one, solution one, problem two, solution two. Another approach to that is your packages or the bundles of your services or the way that you present your various services is deeper dives on the same topic. So it's one problem, but different levels of dealing with that solution or with that problem. So it could be that it's, for instance, let me see if I can think of an example of a company where I just bought that. I can't, so I'm going to make one up. So let's assume, for instance, you just bought a computer, you're new to technology, and you don't know what you're doing. So the first thing is you buy the computer. Okay, great. Now I've got that. Now, how do I go deeper with that? How do I use it? It might be additional training. Same computer, same issue, technology challenges, but now I might do a little bit of training on how to use the computer. Great. Now I really want to do a deeper dive into one of the particular programs that I really am going to use my computer for a lot. So I might get some additional training on that. And then it might be that I really want to understand how to use that program and how to monetize it. So maybe it's a different kind of strategic solution now on how to get that out into the world. It's not different levels of problems or a progression of problems. It's the same fundamental solution, just deeper dives. Now, often what that means is, especially for service providers, it's going to be increasing levels of your time and intimacy. And what I mean by intimacy is in access to you. If you're the service provider, if you're the expert who's providing the information. So the deeper dives might be same topic, same purpose, same promise, but just more of you, for example. That's traditionally what a lot of coaches do, is they'll bundle packages of time. The problem with that is no one knows how much time something's going to take, and there is no end game, no measure. So this is a really important part of the conversation around your packaging that I'm going to come to in a minute, the promise of your package. So deeper dives on the same topic or issue or problem that you're solving, just a deeper dive of it. Another example of that, for instance, actually I do have an example. So there's a doctor I'm working with on a nutrition program, and while there is a progression dealing with one issue, then another, really it's kind of a deeper dive into the same thing. How do we get the guts working so that the rest of the body can flourish? And so there's deeper and deeper commitments and things that we do and work that we do around that, all around how do you improve your wellness by increasing and improving your gut health, for example. Then there are packages that are related issues. So it might not be connected like problem one, solution one, and solution one gives rise to problem two. They might not be directly connected, but they might be related. So for example, let's say I've recently started going out dating. So I might need a course on dating tips for women over 55, for example. I don't, but I might. And who knows, maybe I do. I might need an image consultant to help me update my image so that I can feel sexy, desirable, and worthwhile out there. I might need to take a self-defense class because who knows what I'm going to run into while I'm out there dating. They're all kind of related and part and parcel of a journey I'm on, but they're not really necessarily connected to one another. That's another way that you can package services that help and your clients deal with something that they're up to. So really what you need to understand is, where do you want to take your client from on their customer journey? Where are they starting? Where are they ending? And a really important component of that is, what is the work that you want to do? Because here's the thing, especially the supporting styles in the group really want to be there for people, really want to give them tons of value, really want to help them. They want to stay with them for their whole life, from now on forever. That's not realistic or logical. It's not good positioning. You need to own an area of expertise that you freaking rock at and that you are the best at. And that component of what you own, you cannot be all things to all people and be equally effective in all those areas. I have a broad range of expertise in a variety of strategy, marketing, and sales. But someone just asked me on a barter company that I joined about social media. Can you teach on social media and so forth? And I said, yes, I can give them information on the strategy of what not to do, but I cannot help them with the how to do what they should be doing. We need to know what our limits are. We need to know where our expertise is. And I want you to base that on, what do you love doing? Most of us, or many people, many experts, fall into the trap, I've done it time and time again, of doing something because we can, not because we should. So for example, I've had several iterations of my business positive results. And at one point, I spent quite a bit of time. I started with one company, consulting for a company, a tech company. And I did a number of projects and full-time work and managing tech companies. So I became, over the course of about 8 years, very, very good at and developing a lot of expertise in startup and turnaround for tech companies. And I stopped one day and went, wait a minute. Yes, I can do this work. Yes, it's lucrative. Yes, the people are very lovely, because I think people are lovely everywhere. But they're not really my people. I can speak geek. I can translate strategy into, technical speak and so forth. And I can deal with those kinds of personalities. But they're not my people. And it wasn't something that I loved to do. So yes, I could do it. Yes, it was lucrative. Yes, I had all sorts of differentiation because there was very few people who could do what I did. But it wasn't the leveraged business model and the arena and the niche that I really loved. So I left it behind and shifted out of that and stopped marketing to those kinds of companies. And when they came and asked me to help them, I would say no, because they aren't what light me up. It's not the kind of work that I love doing. So what kind of work do you love doing? And your services need to be based on that as well. I'm going to post on the page and in the Facebook group in Bodacity's Action Heroes a lead magnet that I developed that's called, I don't know, something about freedom. But it's basically an assessment to help you figure out what leveraging strategy works best for you. Because we want to figure out how to go from one-to-one, an hour's pay for an hour's work. That's part of why you want to do packages and bundles, is to figure out what kind of leveraging strategy you really like, what fits you. Not everybody should be a speaker. Not everybody likes working with groups. Not everybody likes doing, kind of one-to-many work, or they like doing it in certain ways. It's important for you to figure out what fits for you, and then to make your solution offerings accordingly. Because just because everyone says, well, first you do a small group program online, and then an online program, and then you move them into a mastermind or into a group coaching program, and then you move them into one-to-one work for you. Just because that's the standard business model in the industry doesn't mean it should be your business model if you don't like doing any components of that. So what's going to work for you? I just got off a call with a bunch of very, very smart, successful mid-6 to mid-7-figure businesswomen, having a conversation around how do we reinvent the industry. And one of the things that they said is, really tired of, and it was a brilliant quote, I don't know if I can find it for you, but it was, I'm really tired of, let me just quickly look and see if I can find it. It was around the frustration around technology and using technology that was meant to connect us. Automation became a substitution for connection versus an enabler of connection. And everybody's talking about needing to go to these really big programs and having 500 people in your launch or 2,000, and we can't service them and connect with them in the way that feels authentic and genuine and gets ROI, then that's not the right package for you. It's not the right approach. So it's really important to find the strategy that fits your values, your way of doing business, and what you love to do, not just to put together packages the same way as everybody else does, because that's what everybody else is doing. So if you don't like doing group coaching, don't do group coaching. If you don't like doing one-to-one coaching, don't do that. So put together packages and offerings that fit your style, not what the gurus are advocating. All right. Now let's talk about how you determine what your package includes. Here's the simple way to do it. Because everybody comes to me and says, well, do I put in one-to-one time? Do I put in, my book? What do I include? It's going to sound overly simple, but it's really not actually very simple. Well, it's fairly simple, but it's not necessarily easy. You decide where you're taking them from and to. What is the promise of the package? What is the promised outcome, destination, or deliverable? If, for instance, you are promising them, and this is something that bugs me all the time, how to attract clients, great. But if the promise of that is, I'm going to show you how to create a system that is going to fill your funnel from now on forever, that's a much bigger promise than I'm going to give you an authentic way to answer the question, what do you do, so that when you're networking, you can actually engage with someone effectively. Two very different promises. both of them are in aid of getting more clients, but you need to be really conscious and clear about where you're starting with them, where you're taking them to, and then just tell them the truth about that. I'm going to teach you how to effectively network by giving you an elevator pitch that people actually want to listen to and don't glaze over. That's one promise. I'm going to teach you how to determine your target market, what their language is, and how to speak to them in a way that actually enters into the conversation in their head. That's another component of engaging with clients or getting more clients. Be very clear about where you're starting them and where you're ending in them and what's the promised outcome of your package, service, or delivery. That's what you include in that package. So, because then if it's like, okay, I'm going to help them identify their target market, learn how to speak their target market's language, and write marketing copy that is compelling and gets them better results from their prospects and turns them into more clients. Great. There's some very clear measurables and deliverables in that you then include that in your package. So if I was doing that package, I would include, for instance, a survey that helps them go out and engage with their clients, understand the language, understand the problems and pains, how their target market is framing that, and then how to turn that into marketing copy that they can use. So I would include the survey. I would include helping, some processes around helping them identify their target market. I would include some copywriting services or help with their copywriting so that they end up with copy based on what their market says they want and need, based on having a clear idea of who their market is. What do you need to include in that package in terms of worksheets or training programs or coaching time or whatever? That's what's included to get them from that point to that point. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So if there is a clear destination, a clear measurable outcome, then you're going to know what you need to include, because you can reverse engineer it, what you need to include in your package to get them to that destination. So you don't just throw everything in the kitchen sink in there. I've seen people who have said, okay, well, I'm going to create this thing and I'm just going to throw everything I've got in there. Totally disparate things that don't serve the end result. Where are you taking them to? What do you need to get them there? That's what you include in the package. So use the Sherpa and the mountain analogy. If a Sherpa was taking you up, Mount Kilimanjaro, for example, they know that at a certain point you're going to need oxygen. At another point you're going to need crampons because you're going to be walking in ice, so you need something that's going to hold you on the ice. They know you're going to need a jacket that goes to sub-zero temperatures, etc., because they know where they're taking you on the mountain, so they know what you need included in your package to be successful. So where are you taking your client? What do they need to be successful? That's what goes into that packaging or product or service offering. A couple more things and then I'm going to let you all go. Really be careful that you do not give people too many options. Typically 3 options to choose from is appropriate. The reason there are typically 3 boxes of popcorn sizes or 3 boxes in most decisions is you will always have approximately 20% of the market that are price sensitive buyers who want the cheapest, the smallest package possible. You're going to have approximately 20% of the market that is premium buyers. They want the best of the best. They want the prestige, the status of the best thing you have. The rest of the market, about 60%, tends to hang out in the middle. They want a solution. They want to get where they're going, but they don't necessarily need to pay the least or the most. They just want a solution to their problem. So typically what you want to do is have solutions for them to choose from. Now, there's also all sorts of psychology and strategy behind the comparing and contrasting of them. Typically, most people will pick the minimum box because they don't want to be cheap or they don't want to overspend. There's all sorts of psychology about this, but it gives them some options. Now, here's the problem. Do not step out of the role of solution provider by throwing that over the fence and saying, here's all the options. What do you want? They don't buy your solution. You recommend the solution they should buy, because it would be like a doctor going into a doctor with a malady and they say, okay, here's 3 prescriptions. Which one do you want? Well, you don't know which one is the best for you. They do. That's why you're hiring their expertise. So make the recommendation, be the solution provider, not the commodity, and tell them what they need based on your interactions with them. What's going to help them get across the finish line of their objective? And if it is the biggest package, tell them that and tell them why. If it's the smallest package, tell them that and tell them why. There have been times that I've sold my smallest bundle or package because that's all they needed to accomplish what we wanted to accomplish. So make a recommendation about what they should buy and tell them why, based on their goals, objectives, and purchasing requirements. What's the problem they're trying to solve? How will this package solve that problem for them? So not here's what's in it. Here's what's in it, what it will do for you. Again, most people make the mistake of just throwing a bunch of crap over the fence and saying, well, it's not crap, some of it's very good, but throwing stuff over the fence and saying, here's a whole bunch of things. You have no idea how this will benefit you, but just trust me, there's a lot of stuff here, so it'll benefit you. No, here's this, and here's how it's going to benefit you. Here's the next piece, and here's how it's going to benefit you. Here's the third piece, and here's how it's going to benefit you and how we're going to apply it to get ROI for you. That's how you sell your packages, all right? Now, last thing I want to say is make sure that you're very clear on what your objectives or measures of success are for those packages, bundles, products, etc. that you're selling, so that you're not over-promising or under-delivering, and so that you can really be in integrity with the work you really want to do and where you really want to take them, and so that they're confident that when they're buying something that will get them where they want to go. Now, I know that may seem simple, but really, actually, strategically, that is one of the biggest challenges, is that often people want to give too much, or they don't have enough in there that actually creates the results. They have process, but no outcomes. So being on the journey with your people is not enough. Getting them to the destination is the goal. So make sure that any packages, products, and solutions that you put together has that in mind. So we're going to be talking about this and more in depth in my program, What the Hell Do I Sell? How to Package, Price, and Position Your Expertise. And I will put a link to that in the chat below for any of you who want some information. I'm doing a live 2.5-day hands-on intensive where we really work out your specific packages, your specific pricing, exactly what your positioning is and how that translates into your marketing copy. What's the business model that's going to actually fit for you, that you will do and that is authentic, as opposed to what all the experts are saying you should be doing. And what stage of your business are you actually at? Because for most of you who are not making sales, it's because you've got a stage of business that's too far ahead of where you actually are in terms of your business model stage. So what I'm going to suggest is, if you are in Calgary or can get yourself here, then it'll be a great intensive hands-on process to get that work done. And it's at an amazingly stinking good rate for a variety of reasons that you can check out on the Eventbrite page. I'm not going to do a whole big pitch here. What it comes bundled with is the online version of the course, because I am really committed to people getting ROI, to getting actual results. And you and I both know, I'm sure you've been to many workshops, as have I, where there's a ton of information that comes at you and you're trying to apply it all, and it's great content, and it's too much. It's a fire hose. And so you go away and you don't necessarily implement it because you've got all this stuff, and then you get busy, and then it goes on the shelf, and it becomes what I call shelf help shame. And so I'm totally committed to not doing that in this industry. So you get the 8-week course where we review the content again, but we also do group coaching around how do you apply it? How would that sound in your business? What would work for you? Then there's 4 weeks of just straight implementation coaching. So after you've got the content down, you've got your copy written, you've got your business model articulated, you're really clear on who your market is, you know what you're selling, to whom and how, then it's now the rubber meets the road, you go apply it and you come back and say, okay, this isn't working, or I had this challenge in my sales conversation, or this didn't convert, or whatever, so that we actually get the implementation working for you. So the 8 weeks is followed by 4 weeks of implementation coaching, plus you get a one-to-one strategy session with me so that we can work on your specific business model. So please go check it out. Now, if you cannot come to the live intensive in Calgary, you can still get the online course and come to the next intensive. I will be doing some in Canada, some in the US. You are welcome to do that. So please go check it out and let me know if you have any questions about packaging your services or last week's pricing training. Let me know where you're at, what you need support with, and I encourage you to really just kind of think of your customer's journey, where you're taking them from and to, and build out your solution offerings based on that, what you love to do, and the style of business and business model you want, and what they need in order to understand the value and the outcome or the promise of it, so that they know where they're going with you and why they're buying that solution. Hope this has been helpful, everybody. Thank you for being here. This has been the Bodacity Show, Mentor's Moment with Jeanette Anderson. And again, go to Bodacity's Action Heroes, our complimentary Facebook group, if you would like even more additional content. And typically the Bodacity Show is on Tuesdays from 3:30 to 4. It's not often straight content like this. It's usually an interview with an industry expert on an area of building your bold business or your bold life, for like a half-hour interview. And occasionally you get bonus content like this on how to package your services. So watch next week when we're going to be talking about positioning. So what the hell do I sell? How to package, price, we've done those two. Next will be how to position your services, so you know where you want to go in the marketplace, and people know who you are in the marketplace and can pick accordingly. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate the compliments. And I hope that you not only listen to this, but go apply it. If you have ideas or questions around your packages and you want some feedback, put them in here. I'm happy to give you some feedback on it. Bye, everybody. Have a wonderful day, a bodacious day, and we'll see you again soon.